So I was scrolling peacefully, living my life, minding my business, when Dad suddenly gasped. He looked at his phone, looked at me, looked back at his phone and said, "Why is this person calling me sus?" Dad immediately asked, "What is sus?" I said, "Dad, it means suspicious." Dad nodded slowly like he had just received classified government information. And that's when I knew I had made a terrible mistake. Because 10 minutes later, I caught Dad peeking around corners, not normal peeking, movie villain peeking. Like he was spying on somebody. "Dad, we are in our house. Like, who are you hiding from?" Then he started whispering constantly. Nobody was standing near him. Nobody was talking to him. He was literally whispering to the air. Dad would walk by and go, "Operation begins soon." "What operation?" I said. Then things got worse. Dad started wearing sunglasses indoor at night. There wasn't even sunlight, bro. My mom asked, "Why are you wearing sunglasses inside?" Dad said, "Suspicious people don't explain themselves." Then I found him hiding behind the plant, just standing there, completely visible, only half of his face covered. Dad whispered, "Nobody can see me." "Dad, I can see your entire body," I said. Then Dad walked into the living room, stopped, looked around dramatically, and slowly backed out. Like he had discovered state secrets. My mom asked, "What happened?" Dad said, "Too risky." "Risky?" I said. "The dog was sleeping." The next morning, Dad bought a briefcase. He carried it everywhere. I asked, "What is inside?" And Dad looked left, looked right, opened it. It was completely empty. Dad whispered, "Classified." Then my mom asked, "What do you want for dinner?" Dad replied, "The eagle lands at midnight." Mom blinked, I blinked, the dog blinked. Dad looked proud, like he had just cracked a secret code. Nobody knew what he was talking about, including Dad. Then Dad built sus headquarters. There were arrows, maps, post-its, circles, lines, question marks, random pizza drawings for some reason. Nothing connected to anything. Dad looked at it and said, "The evidence is everywhere." Soon, the neighbors got concerned. Dad was hiding behind a newspaper, trying to spy. The newspaper was upside down. He wasn't even reading it. At that point, the neighbors started spying on Dad. Then Dad started investigating the dog. Yeah, the dog. Dad followed him around, took notes, wrote down random things. Dog eats biscuit. Dad writes, "Suspicious behavior." Dog scratches its ear. Dad writes, "Extremely suspicious." Unfortunately, the dog started learning from Dad. Now the dog was also wearing sunglasses, hiding behind furniture, looking around randomly. I don't know who trained who anymore. And then it happened. Dad and dog formed a squad. The sus squad, matching sunglasses, matching serious faces, matching suspicious energy. Mom looked terrified. I started updating my resume. Finally, I snapped. I yelled, "Dad, that's not what sus means." Everything froze. Dad froze, the dog froze, Mom froze, even the imaginary investigation froze. Dad slowly lowered his sunglasses and said, "Oh." Then I made even a bigger mistake. I answered a phone call and I casually said, "Yeah, she's my homie." My mom was walking. My mom froze. She dropped her coffee. Dad immediately pulled out his notebook. The dog adjusted its sunglasses. Mom pointed at me and screamed, "Who is a homie?" Dad started taking notes. Dog prepared for investigation, and that's when I realized the sus case was over, but not the homie case. My mom hunted the whole house for homie. Pray for homie.